Broadcast on machine too strong. Pretty politicians buying souls for reform.
So that is right. I am. And I don't need to dye my hair. I don't need a stupid mustache, but I am the golden one, Ricky Goldman. So you check out that description. This is a channel that's never been sold. It is the People's Wrestling Channel. Once again, check out that description. And I've got not one, but two guests joining me again. Is the man himself, the Irish one, Ian.
Yeah.
And also joining me, the guy who didn't. Sorry, go on.
Like I never left. Where have I heard that before?
Like you never left. And also joining me, the guy that was in the comments earlier. I thought I would bring him on to discuss everything going on in the world that is WWE and Vince's mustache. And he is the man himself, Justin.
To the golden one and to Ian.
Hey, Justin.
I should have a crooked mustache too in the entire time.
I should have a mustache as well. I should have a mustache. I should grow a mustache like that as well.
So yeah, we were discussing it backstage. We'll discuss it further. So,
that could be a new costume come Halloween. That could be a top costume come Halloween.
Is he with a mustache?
Yeah.
Right.
So Vince's new look, his mustache, his hair, is ridiculous.
I could say there's going to be people who are going to do Vince McMahon as a mustache, but to really get people annoyed, they're going to trim the edges off and just leave him a square on the square on it.
Oh God,
Vincenzo McMahon.
Yeah, but more like Vince, but Vincler.
Oh God, Jesus.
Or Hit Vince. Or Hit Vince.
So let's discuss it. WWE is sold. Something I never, in my nearly 23 years of watching WWE, that I'd ever thought would see happen. Endeavour's bought it for $9.3 billion. It's hard to say what you want about Vince and all the sexual misconduct stuff, but $9.3 billion. He's the head of the table. He's on God mode when it comes to businessmen. So when you get your thoughts, both of you, what do you think about it being sold? What do you think about Endeavour buying it? Were you worried that Saudi was going to buy it, or Amazon, or another company? So Justin, what do you think?
See, I thought at first reading it, I was like, that's pretty massive. Like, you're taking the UFC and WWE, two of the biggest things in sports, putting them together like that as one globally traded thing. Like, that's huge. But then it's just like, there was so many different things that got you thinking. You're like, you see, oh, Vince is involved. And it's like, okay, why are we just still brushing off the fact that he has those allegations? And then people started speculating, like, is this going to affect pay-per-views? Which, that's going to suck if we have to go back to buy-in, because apparently UFC is on, like, ESPN Plus, and it costs, like, $80 for a pay-per-view. Like, if WWE's pay-per-views go to $80, everyone's going to start using websites to find that. There's no way. It's just... it's such an interesting thing, but then it's just like you just piled bad on top of it. Like it sucks to see that, because even I never thought we'd see the day that WWE got bought, but it happened, and it's merging with, again, something as big as UFC. And it's crazy to think of that, but it's like, now what's going to be next? Are we going to see UFC people showing up more on WWE? Are we going to see more WWE people trying to break into MMA, which would be freaking weird? Like, it's interesting, but it's got its negatives to it.
Are you happy that Endeavour's bought it and not the Saudis?
I'm glad it's not Saudi. Thank God. Like, here's the thing. If Saudi had done it, if they had no involvement in it, I think it wouldn't have been as bad. But it's like, again, it's one of those coin toss things. Could it be bad? Could it be good? again, it's the whole, do you want to be in like absolutely associated with Saudi Arabia right now? Probably not. You still don't want to. I'm just happy it wasn't them at this point.
Yeah, I suppose I've got billions and billions, if not trillions, but then what it meant for the women of WWE, what would it meant for some certain storyline? Sami Zayn, could he go to Saudi if he wanted to do? Could he? Kevin Owens, could he? So certain people may never want to go, but if they do, could they? And that would affect it. But now it won't affect it. So I know, do you have Saudi and Owens and Zayn on Saudi anywhere, being the champions? Another question for another day. So, Ian, what do you think about W being sold and about the new buyers, Endeavour? And it's not the Saudis and not anybody else, but it's Endeavour.
Well, with the Saudis, yeah, I was happy enough because it would have had a lot of effect, not only just on female talent, but talent connected to the LGBT. With Endeavour, like, it's really like what will happen. It's more like what's going to happen backstage. Like, do we see, like, who are you going to get from UFC? Like, are we going to see stuff like well-known UFC names fighting top guys? Like, are we going to see Amanda Nunes appear, like, to fight people like Ronda Rousey and Shayna? Are we going to see well-known names like Conor McGregor step up to Roman Reigns, which I think would kind of be a bit ridiculous? We get to a stage of laughably ridiculous knowing Conor McGregor, and he hasn't been seen in a while. But it's more worry now following what's happened with backstage, with all the stuff that's going on backstage. Like, now that they've given Vince more power, and after what happened on Raw this week.
We'll discuss that in a second, but you did say before we came on air, came live, whatever, something just, I don't watch the bump, well, I don't watch it weekly, now and again.
Yeah,
but
when we get to the Vince
you just said that something's happened on the bump, so go on, tell everybody, tell me, tell Justin.
Since now the Vince takeover and the events of what's happened on Raw this week, there has been a trend to endeavor to remove Vince McMahon. Like on the bump, we saw loads of fire Vince posts, fire Selena Gomez posts. Like and now Endeavor are more aware of the situation, but they're not willing to do anything about the problem because they don't want it to affect the merger. And now there's even an investigation about how they've done business. Now the feds are doing an investigation to this merger. So that's kind of going to put a little bit of a dent in it.
Why is it being investigated? What's he done wrong?
They want to know if everything has been done legally, and knowing Vince, he probably didn't do everything legally.
So let's discuss that then. Good or bad? I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? I think it's both. Vince McMahon back in charge of creative.
Nope.
I think it's the greatest promoter ever. You're not going to get anybody on his level as a promoter, and probably has a business wrestling mind. But
look, as a promoter, yeah, he's as a businessman, yeah, he is good at business. Oh, nobody can take that away.
No, not his level. No, but
it's more the issue as what we saw in Raw with how he's taking over creative, because creative was doing great under Paul, under Triple H, and now Vince is coming in. Obviously, this is kind of a revenge for him because Paul Levesque was one of the people that said, no, do not take him back in after all the hush money scandals and allegations. And now Triple H was doing a fine job, and like he'd only been in the creative part for half a year, and he'd only just come off booking probably the most well-produced WrestleMania. And now this has happened, and Vince taking back over. It's going to put a dampener on everything he's worked hard for.
You already know it's nice, though. You already know it's a lot. It's like it's so sketchy with the whole thing because you now know Vince had basically had this whole thing planned out at this point. When he left, he had to have had this whole thing planned out because literally look at all the places that were like, yeah, Vince isn't involved. And when there was actually names coming up that said we were interested in buying WWE, nothing was said about Vince. But the minute that Vince gets involved with Endeavor because Vince is going to be back involved with the company, then it sells. There's something just completely fishy about that whole situation.
He's an evil genius. He's an evil freaking genius.
And now he's got the mustache to prove.
Triple H did a hell of a lot of good work. Just the commentaries, I feel, was a whole lot better. Michael Cole, Corey Graves are perfect.
Yeah. Michael
UK a pay-per-view in England after 30 years. They're going to Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny's the host. King of the Ring's coming back as a pay-per-view. You had all these people coming back. A great run for Gunther. The tag team titles means, the tag team titles meant something anyway, I suppose, but they mean a lot more now. the biggest WrestleMania you just had, thanks to Triple H. So he's done a hell of a lot of good work. The press conferences make it feel bigger. And now you've got Vince back, and look at what happened on Raw. It didn't feel like the Raw after Mania. You surprised was Riddle? Ugh, okay.
Well, there was
And
no
Brock
plans,
Lesnar, that was it.
Well, apparently now there was no plans to call up anyone from NXT at the moment. And I'd say with Braun Breaker, I'd say some things have changed following the recent allegations against his dad for having to go with people who are transgender. Coming off
Fair enough. Well, people expecting Braun, Matt Cardona, CM Punk, Jay White, Randy Orton, and you got Riddle. Like, ugh.
Well, I think with Riddle, it's because he's ex-UFC and now they're back with Endeavour. Like, we're going to see some connections to UFC.
But it wasn't exactly, oh, Riddle's back. It was, yeah, cool, Riddle's back.
Yeah.
On the Raw after WrestleMania, it was supposed to be the biggest and best Raw of the year. For me, Raw is the worst brand WWE. SmackDown is levels above anything. NXT, I think, last night's NXT was really good. And then there's Raw.
There were some parts of Raw. There are some parts of Raw that were good under Triple H. Like, he was giving moments to people like guys like Chad Gable. And Chad Gable didn't even feature on Raw this week. He was put backstage with Otis and flipping Maximum Male Models. And he was always a standout when you'd watch Raw, because he'd put on banging matches.
And apparently, Omos, not that we want to see him, but he apparently was in catering. He was told to quickly get his gear on and go out and go squash Elias. Apparently, there was not one, not two, but three run sheets given to whoever during Raw. Raw got written 3 times this week. Early in the day, and then a couple of hours beforehand, and then while it was on air. I just don't get why Vince does this. Truly, if he wants to come to make money, he's probably made millions since these last 6-7 months he took over.
Because he can't let go. That's the thing. The man has control issues. I mean, did you ever listen to Paul Heyman on Stone Cold's podcast? He said he found one thing he doesn't like about Vince McMahon, what Vince McMahon doesn't like. Vince McMahon doesn't like sneezing because he can't control it. And he doesn't like growing a beard. I mean, the man has control issues and he needs help.
But he has grown it. Well, not a beard, but he's grown a mustache. So
I really think something bad's going to happen to the company if he's not there. And it's like, little does he know that the company's going to get better without him at this point. Like,
exactly. I mean,
he's just doing a lot more damage sticking around than he is doing anything good.
More harm than good. I mean, we've now seen there's now a low morale within the talent, and now more people are looking at the option of saying, "That's it. I can't be around this man. I fear I'm going to lose my job. I have to consider my options."
And you've had Jagger Reed. You've had Jagger Reed and Rick Fowler, Zach Gibson, James Drake, whatever you want to call them. They've gone from Schism. They've left. So Schism's no more now. And just I don't get why they left. They were never getting called up, and if they were, it would have been a while.
They haven't actually.
Shawn Michaels controls NXT, so it's really nothing to do with Vince. Vince doesn't even care about NXT. So I don't get that one really.
They haven't actually left. The contracts haven't been given there, and they were apparently on NXT Level Up.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Isn't Level Up taped though?
Yeah, it's taped. It's done after SmackDown. Yeah.
I never really watched Level Up. Is it any use?
It's basically 205 Live with a different name. 205 Live was about the cruiserweights, and he very quickly became not, and then it's just been rebranded as Level Up.
Yeah, but I haven't watched Level Up yet, so but I don't know.
You're not missing anything. You're not missing anything. So some people get a push. People will get a push on there, but
that's all it is.
So, what do you both think about people like Bray, Cody, Carrion, people like Braun? Do you think they're going to get pushed back now? Do you think Vince is going to say, "But Carrion, I fired him for a reason," or what do you think about their future?
Cody will still be there. Cody will be fine. Cody will be 100% fine because it was Vince and Bruce Pritchard who brought him back into WWE.
Yes.
So Cody will be 100% fine there. But think about the likes of people like your Bray Wyatt, your Karrion Kross, your Johnny Gargano, your LA Knights. Like, they are not people that Vince sees much in. And you have to think of all the talent that came back after being cut after the 2 years during COVID. what their future holds. Do I want to work for this man? Do I think I have a safe future under him? No. Then I have to consider my options and what else to do.
Nobody's safe under Vince's
No.
rule, because that means now there could possibly be more releases, and that's what's gonna be bad.
Yeah, and that's a problem. And once these releases happen, they're not going to get a second chance.
Depending who goes, between like Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, let's face it, they're never going to do anything with them. So if they go, who cares? I know that's a lot for the company. Dana Brock, people like that. Who cares?
Well, Tozawa is
Somebody like
already, well,
give me a second, guys. 1 second. Give me a second, guys.
Okay.
I'll be back in like a couple of minutes, but I'm going to have to help my mum. Give me a second. You can talk, guys. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Well, that's something rare.
I just don't see. I just see a lot of damage coming out of this with Vince being around here.
Definitely.
And it's not good, because it's just like everybody, like you said earlier, the morale was high with Triple H around, knowing that because they trust Triple H. Nobody trusts Vince because they know how he is. He's got that whole mentality of, it's got to be this big guy. Can't be this. It's got to be this muscle bound guy. It can't be this like indie midget. Like nothing like that. It's
that was the problem. Like, because Triple H was putting his fate in indie guys during his NXT days, because he knew they were the guys to take on the company. And now Vince doesn't see most of these people like that. And he could decide to. That has always been the scary thing. And it's not just the inside talent. He's also could affect the possibility of certain outside talents, because we've just seen during the week that Jay White is not going to sign with might not sign with WWE. He may look at going back to the
FTR has their tag title match tonight. And if they see that Vince is back, like if their possibility of going back was there, now that Vince is there ain't no way they're going back. They're going to re-sign. No.
Or else, if they lose tonight, they don't. If they lose and they leave AEW, they say to themselves, "No, we can't deal with Vince the moment. We'll just go on the indie scene for a good. We'll stay on the indie scene. We'll stay on
People
the
were
indie
talking
scene.
about that they could just end up in ROH because,
we go into ROH, we go back and wrestle in Japan, we wrestle in Mexico, we wrestle in Impact. We just go on the indies then until something changes or something."
And then you got the thing with Bayley and Asuka, which is just like. More concerning.
I don't think Bayley's going to leave now, Leah. There is a few little angst in the women's division, not just Bayley, Asuka. There's Ronda Rousey making comments, Dana Brooke, Becky Lynch is even looked a little annoyed on Raw today that she wasn't featured. Like I don't think Bayley is going to leave the company. No, Bayley won't leave. It could be just either she's saying goodbye to how Damage Control is going, or there's something else going, or is it basically just because now the WrestleMania is over and she called WrestleMania her love story? That could just have been about it. I don't see Bayley leaving.
It's like, but it could be a forewarning thing of like Vince being back. She don't know if Damage Control is going to last under Vince's rule.
That's true. So, but like Bayley was liked by Vince during her heel run. She did have a long run SmackDown Women's title, so Bayley is safe. Yeah, but then you think of Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai was cut by Vince. Io Sky was very undecided about re-signing with WWE after her NXT run is. Yeah, that is also a problem there. But then you also think of guys like Asuka, okay, is a different story. I don't know. She's probably not leaving. Maybe she's just going to turn up, make herself more heel now than ever.
I saw a lot of people that when they were talking about Vince coming back and everything, they were like, these people need to there needs to be like a mass exodus and people need to start standing up for themselves at this point. I think
they need to go back to that Zelina Vega workers union movement that she wanted to start in 2020 and never went ahead.
Yes. It was crazy when she was because she was right when she said that. There's no reason why these guys should just be thrown to the wayside like that, where it's like, you had us here and then it's just like, you could just let us go for nothing like that. It's ridiculous.
Yes. But then
I'm worried myself with Vince being back.
Yeah, it would worry me.
If he's actually in creative fully, Triple H isn't even safe. And that's the thing, because Triple H's whole speech Monday kind of felt like hey guys, guess what? I'm basically in trouble here. Like,
Yeah.
it almost felt like a goodbye, and it was kind of worrying. Like,
But now here's the question: now, does Triple H start his own company? Because
that would be insane.
that would be good. It'd be saying, all right, like he wouldn't put WWE out of business whatsoever, but he'd give an alternative. And then you throw in that, and then you throw in more competition there. Triple H's company, AEW, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor. You throw in more options.
Does that mean that Triple H would work with AEW and stuff like that? That'd be crazy.
That would be cool. Like he could work with AEW, he could work with Japan, he could work with Ring of Honor, Impact.
That's the one thing I think about with Roman's reign, where it's like, it's kind of like, to me, it just feels like, what do you got next besides recycling through the same thing? And this is the kind of moment where I wish WWE had like a working relationship with other people so we could bring some other people in like that from outside of the company and make it, and then like start telling stories where it's like, are they going to end up winning the titles and taking them back to like Japan or something like that? Just something.
That would be good, right? Their own Forbidden Door.
Yes. Like there was all that talk about them possibly working with New Japan that everybody was like,
yeah, they wanted to do that 2 years ago, and it never fulfilled. And then we got some signs last year when Mickey James come in. Are they working with Impact?
Mm-hmm. That was big for them, though.
Yeah, and then like we thought we could see them work with Major League Wrestling just to ease off on the lawsuit that they're going through they've had with them at the moment.
That's really weird, though. That would be so strange to see them be like, yeah, you guys have been suing us for the whole time, but let's just work with you guys, and maybe you guys will just retract the whole thing.
Like, I mean, like we saw WWE get involved with Evolve the last year before they shut down after the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So that was possible. That could have been possible there. We saw NXT work with them under Triple H.
Yes. Like I said, I think the whole like merger thing is interesting, but again, you have your pieces that's just really concerning because it's like Vince being around. You got the higher ups there that are just like, we need Vince around. It's like, no, you don't need Vince. You don't need Vince. Like if Vince was just basically the business guy end of WWE, it'd be fine. But the fact that he's talked about now being around creative again is the big concern.
I want to show you something that I found. This was during the week. I found this. This was from. I'm going to get this up now on my phone. This was from. Hang on. This was from Zero News from yesterday. Spoke to a source this morning who stated the following. I want to say this isn't a report. New owners were backstage and Vince was showing his creative process. They weren't impressed with it. All the rewrites and revisions were concerning. Friday night, they will also be on hand and they want to see Triple H in action running the show.
That's some interesting and actually kind of good sounding news, because if they weren't impressed by Vince, then they know that they can't trust Vince.
Yes. And then there were reports came that Endeavour and what's his name? I forget your man's name.
It's Ari something.
Ari. Now he has said that they are aware of the comments that are coming in about firing Vince, remove Vince, why you still working with a man who's had many allegations of sexual assault, and they're ignoring it at the moment because they want the merger to go ahead.
Well, it's fine with the merger. Like, if you want to go with the merger, do it. But it's like, you don't need Vince around because first off, you already just, like you just said, they can't see that they just saw his process. They can't trust him to be able to run this show the way like he used to. So he's pretty much out of the picture. But again, you got the allegations. Like, why would you overlook those allegations? Like, you got the whole thing that's going on with Trump and everything like that. Where there is the same situation, and now you got Vince in that same situation, and they're not doing anything about it.
I mean, I know that's like you're starting a film, you go into a certain film studio and say you want some experienced mind, but you don't care about his allegations. Let's bring in Harvey Weinstein and get his views on this sort of thing. What needs to be done to help?
That's so bad.
That would be just so bad. Like that would give that film, whatever the Weinstein, all those pictures that he was involved in, like a bad look. Like
the thing that concerned me the most was the whole when they first said something about Vince being back on the board. After there was a unanimous decision that they didn't want him back, but then he comes back, switches around the board, and then it's a unanimous yes. which
He's
that
like-
whole thing
he is
is
the
so
equi-
efficient.
He is the equivalent of Darth Sidious. Vince McMahon is. He is the Darth Sidious of WWE. He used his powers to Darth Sidious used his power to convince the Senate to give him more years, and look what happened. He created the Empire.
It's just so concerning with
He's
Vince.
He's like the Darth Vader, Norman Osborn of WWE.
They got one of the biggest moments. They got one of the biggest chances to merge two of the biggest things like this.
And
But
now
it's like you got that one lingering piece that's just like
I know.
it doesn't fit in there right now. And that's
And
what sucks.
The thing as well, though, people are just, we see, like, when you look at all the posts and all that, I see a lot of posts on social media when they see these new reports, you get more people saying, that's it, RIP WWE.
See, like when Triple H said there's no way that WWE's going anywhere.
Well,
And again, they've even said it's not going to go anywhere.
No, of course not. Like, WWE, like, they're still making profit. I mean, like, look at the profit they made from WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And, like,
It just means more money now.
And now, like, look what's happened. Like, look at all the other things that have come in the world, and WWE still saying, like, the worst thing happened in the world being the pandemic. Then you've also had, before the pandemic, you had America's bad economy. I'm not saying that to take a shot at your country and like that. And then before that, you had a steroid scandal.
Yep.
And yet they're still standing.
Yes, it's like they said though. They're not going away, and it's already been said that they're not going to go away. They're still going to be separate entities. It's just coming together to become one big publicly traded company to where it's going to make them all both a lot of money.
Yeah, and it could and like it will attract more people from mainstream outlets to them, like what we saw at WrestleMania, like what we saw with people like Kevin Hart introducing him, or when we saw people like Russell Crowe like do a little speech for his new movie, The Pope's Exorcist.
Yes, like that felt weird. Like they promoted that during Hell in a Cell, but it was like
I do want to see that movie though. But like they see but like they know the appeal of people like Russell Crowe. Like they'll see it from the success of films like Gladiator or playing Superman's Da, or Superman's real Da.
It's going to be it's a really interesting idea, but it's just you gotta figure out the pieces of that you just don't have to have in there. That's basically like, because you got what you got, because now Vince has got technically two people above him. So now he's got people above him now. So now they are even more like gonna watch him. But again, I don't get why you would even want to work with him though.
Okay, but say I'm those two people, like, and I see the comments that fans are going through. I see that talent has low morale. I don't want this to affect the business deal. I see what Triple H has done. Do I say, Vince, you're not going to be involved in creative. You're just going to stay behind in the office. You're better at business than you are creative.
Yeah, that would actually be the better idea. If he stayed away from creative completely and just let Triple H do all of that while he just handles all the business stuff, all the deals and everything else that they have associated with it, then I feel like you'd have no problem. But again, you're still going to have that thought of, why are we just passing up on Vince's allegations here? Why are we not looking into this? Why is he not suffering repercussions for his actions? Like, enough with trying to do the whole, he's got money and that's just the big, like, deciding factor here. Like, he deserves repercussions for what the hell he did. He used company money to hush up people. Like, it's messed up.
I know. I know it's like he's not the first person he's not probably the first person to do something like that with a big company. Like Harvey Weinstein obviously used big amounts of money to keep all his victims quiet.
Sorry about that. It took me a good few minutes to help my mum, but she needs to help with. But thank you for keeping the show going.
No problem. We'll have to give you a bit of a pointer next time something like that happens.
What do you mean?
When you're doing a live recording, always put a sign up on your door saying "Recording in progress. Do not disturb."
No, just go.
As someone who does recordings in his room, I have to tell people recording in process, do not disturb.
So I'm just going to play a quick video and then we'll discuss more and discuss what role you think Triple H is going to take now and is Vince totally unstoppable? We'll discuss that in a minute. So yes, protein to his Gullman's on all my socials there. So what role do you think Triple H is going to take now? So he's not head of creative, and unfortunately, all his good work's going to be gone now. So that's not good at all. You saw what Vince is going to do with Raw. So
he's still involved in the creative, but the problem is with Vince overseeing it, multiple changes. Like, the first thing I'd hate to see it take a toll on his health, because we saw how working under Vince during the Monday Night Raws took a toll on his health, and then moving NXT to Tuesday really set him back. Mm-hmm. So I'd hate to see him have another heart attack now after that one, and after making a good comeback. But then we all thought he set up his own company last year after all the firings that were going on, but he didn't. So I'd say he will stay with it, because I'd say he is made of stronger stuff compared to Shane or Stephanie. Not that I'm saying Stephanie is not strong enough either.
As long as Shane doesn't blow, he doesn't blow a quad like Shane on a frog split, on a leapfrog. So, Justin, what do you think what do you think holds future holds for Triple H now? Do you go more and do more on NXT and concentrate more on that and building that further, or just does what Vince says?
I really hope that there's somehow a possibility that when they see, if they're going to oversee Triple H on Friday, after seeing what how Vince handled Monday, this should be the thing that goes, okay, we're going to go through with this deal, but then they should lead up to them getting rid of Vince at that point. Like, they don't want those kind of, like, anything bad attached to them as well. So you have them, like, yes, Dana White has his whole thing with, what happened with him and his wife, where he slapped his wife. That's a bad look on there, right? Like, as well, but it's like, Vince, right there, you have your opportunity to go through with the deal, see Triple H, how good he does it, and then just get rid of Vince completely and go, we got Triple H. We saw how good he handled everything. You just lock in the deal, and then you got everything finally one piece back together like that. And I think you would have, this deal would just absolutely just be worth every second of it.
But then
listening to Jim Cornette apparently been.
There's another thing. Sorry, no, you go first.
Listen to Jim Cornette. Apparently, Vince can't be fired. And he's signed some multi-billion pages for something ridiculous. He gets severance pay. He gets all these perks if he wants to leave. And he only leaves if he feels like he wants to leave. He's not going to leave the company he's built, and he gets paid millions to run.
But doesn't
he's in a great position, unbelievably great position Vince is in.
We talked about this though, but doesn't he have people higher than him? Like, they have higher authority and power than he does.
Yeah,
so
if
they go literally, we don't want any of this attached to us right now, he's gone. That's it. He's eliminated from the entire process at this point. So basically, this was their chance to say, hey, yes, it's a bad look anyway, but we're going to overlook it all because we want you involved. But the minute they see that he can't even handle day-to-day operations anymore because it's that bad, and see Triple H can, this is your opportunity to go through with the deal, but then eliminate the problem right there by getting rid of Vince. If you have people higher up than him, they can get rid of him from his position, and then he's gone.
Yeah, because the reason he brought him back was because of the sale of the company. He said, if you don't bring me back, you ain't not selling the company. And they have done. So, sure, the TV deals are up to Endeavour, Ari Emanuel. It's up to him. So, yeah, well, they don't need Vince anymore. So, yeah, they could let him go.
Another thing they should also look at, because of how popular she was during her run, they need to look at the option: do we reinstate Stephanie McMahon?
Wasn't she there at WrestleMania? Somebody said. I think she was there at Mania.
Yeah, but she probably was viewing. She wasn't there for working with the board or anything. But I think because of how popular she was and how much well respected she was, they should look at bringing back Stephanie McMahon. Especially
But did she want the role anyway, or she just forced into it because Vince retired? Did she not want to concentrate on her family?
She gives me vibes that she had something to do with everything that came out about her dad. Because there's no way that when Vince comes back, like immediately when he came back the first time to jump on the board, she left. That right there just screams, I was the one that said, hey, I was the one that gave out all this info that my dad's an absolute scum. But he came back and I don't want to be around him. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is her opportunity to come back when they see, hey, Steph knows what she's doing as well. You bring her back when Vince is gone, because she'll know that she doesn't have to worry about being around her dad and have to deal with everything attached to him. She's going to be with her husband, and just how that company together, again, with UFC, again, this whole deal is massive for them. It's going to make both companies huge money. It's going to benefit them so much. And it's like, you just got to eliminate one problem here. And
that's Vince. All this talk about Vince and Stephanie and all that, it makes you want to watch that show Succession. That show about the dad who runs media and his family are trying to take his place. It's on HBO. It is. It's kind of like it's about a family who run a media empire, and the dad has a heart attack, and his kids believe he is not fit to run it, so they do anything in their power to take it. It's basically a show that kind of shows what it's like to be a McMahon. It's also kind of like if the Lannister family in Game of Thrones were involved in the media, they'd all be trying to kill each other after a war.
Apparently, it's had some really good ratings. It's very, very popular and not something I'd watch, but yeah. So, two questions.
What it's like to be a McMahon.
So, two questions. First one is it the 28th of May? You've got Double or Nothing and Battleground at the same time. So, do you think that was a Vince decision or a Triple H decision? I can't see it being Triple H because
I think it was
fans are going to have to pick and choose. What? Sorry?
I think it was a Shawn Michaels decision because he runs NXT.
Okay. But why would they do that? And Justin, whose decision do you think it was and why?
That's so tough. Like, that comes off very Vince. Like, it is going head to head with the competition. Like, I don't think Triple H sees AEW as competition.
But I think there is still parts of Triple H that wants revenge on Tony Khan for having NXT lose the Wednesday Night War to AEW. And there is some part of him that wants that little bit of injury.
I could see it, but
like he did get a few wins. NXT did get a few wins over AEW in the Wednesday Night Wars, like with moments when Rhea Ripley beat Shayna Baszler or when Keith Lee beat Adam Cole during those two Great American Bash time when Great American Bash happened. But at the end, AEW won the war, and that kind of set the downfall of Triple H in 2021 before his heart attack.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Some moment of payback. I mean, it would kind of be like if Eric Bischoff leading WCW had moved Raw to something like Tuesday, and Vince had a heart attack after that, and then came back stronger and wants massive revenge on Bischoff and Turner. So,
Justin, why do you think that decision has been made? Surely they don't see AEW competition. It's just not. It just isn't. No matter what people want to say, even the marks, they think AEW is the best thing ever, and MJF's greater than Bruno Sammartino. Let's just say people think that. It's not a competition. It's never going to be. So why?
It's so tough to think because, like I said, when we talked about this before through DMs, I want to say that it just coincidentally fell on that date, but again, it's so tough to just say that because I don't I don't see WWE thinking AEW's competition because other than the NXT AEW thing, AEW hasn't really competed with them for anything. Tony Khan's been the one more obsessed with it being a war than anything. But
But
other
they
than
do.
that, like, it's just weird. Like, I think it just coincidentally fell on that day at the same time because that was their only available day they had. But you know,
Could they not just
people are
could they
gonna
not
spin
just
it
run
around
it?
like it's a war. They're taking shots at each other. Like,
Could they not just run it on a Tuesday and just as like a shoot like they did with Raw Block and New Year's Eve and
No,
start it as a Tuesday special?
I don't think they could have done it on Tuesday because they obviously want to give some people something to watch after they do King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia, because that's going to be a big deal.
That's 3 pay-per-views in 1 month. That's overkill.
But here's the-
Or 4 if
but
you're watching AEW.
But here's the thing: like the last time NXT and AEW did it on the same day was Worlds Collide and All In. But the difference was NXT was on at 9:00, so that's 9:00 UK Ireland time, whatever time that is in America. I'm not sure. So there was no clash.
What time is Battleground? Is the question.
It's half an hour before. Well, I'm guessing probably the same time. Doesn't the buy-in start at? Okay, 12:30 a.m. UK time, and I think, but yeah, the Battleground starts at the same time, so dead on. So people are gonna have to choose or watch both at the same time.
It's so tough. See, that's the part that's just so confusing. Because if they had got the show on earlier before Double or Nothing, everything would have been solved. Like if they set up Battleground to come on hours before Double or Nothing, then there's no excuse to say that they're just trying to have a war here or anything like that. But it's like, I don't know. I still feel like it just coincidentally ended up on that. I don't think anybody's trying to take a shot at anybody here. I think they just coincidentally fell on the same day. And since, you know, they want to turn Battleground into its own PLE, it just, again, it has to be an 8:00 time thing, just like Double or Nothing's going to be. Like, it sucks because it's like, I want to watch both, but I'm not going to be able to watch both.
You'll have to watch one on your TV, and if you've got a laptop or a phone, whatever you're using now, I suppose, watch one on there. That's what I'm going to do, watch one on my phone, and then one.
I'm probably going to watch Double or Nothing. I'm probably going to watch Double or Nothing live, and then just rewatch Battleground on Peacock the next day.
Yeah, it really depends who has the better card. Or the other option being you watch one on your TV, or you wouldn't watch
who has the better card? NXT.
But we don't know that because AEW is.
I do know that because AEW trash, so I do know that already. You could have Omos on Battleground, and it's still better than AEW.
But that's your view. Like I don't like, but that's your view. I'm not saying NXT hasn't got some, but like there are some stories at the moment that they're building well to over in AEW, particularly with BCC and the Elite.
Okay, so we're discussing AEW. So 2 things. Another very important announcement that Tony Khan makes it feel like this is every week. And should Tony Khan now be worried about the merge UFC WWE? So what do you think, Justin? Shouldn't be worried?
I don't think Tony should be worried about it. Again, I think this is just one of those times where both shows coincidentally fell on the same day, and it's nothing else. They're not going to.
Should he be worried about the merger and the sale of WWE being bought by Endeavour?
I don't think so. I don't see why he should. It's not like it's going to affect his product. He's the one that's going to affect his own product. If that product sucks, it's on Tony. It's not on WWE merging with UFC. It's that.
And what do you think this big announcement's going to be?
I don't know, because supposedly all I saw was he said this is going to be one of the biggest announcements in AEW history. So I have no idea what that means.
I'm assuming every week.
I think it's about the UK show they've been talking about, because we saw during the week at Super Card of Honor, Nigel McGuinness re-signed, and now he's looking set to be joining AEW. I'd say more likely he's going to be part of Blackpool Combat Club. because he kind
That'd
of
be
suits it.
interesting.
That would be, especially
And-
being his history with Ring of Honor, and of course, one of his opponents in his time at Ring of Honor was Bryan Danielson and people like Claudio as well before they went to
Yeah, but
WWE.
That's
a UK,
interesting.
And
a
plus,
UK event isn't a really big.
Well, it is a big deal in a way because people do know the existence of AEW. Like, they know about it through the internet and social media. They see stuff like toys that are being sold in toy shops. I was walking by a toy shop and I saw Hangman Adam Page action figures and
Right,
MJF action
but-
figures. And there's also the game coming out as well that we're still waiting to hear back from. And that's going to be coming over to the UK and Ireland.
In about the year, I think isn't that coming out in the year 2050? I don't know.
We'll be waiting that long.
That's why it's
What AEW coming to England is cool, but is it AEW coming to England? Who
That's
cares?
not because they call this an important announcement. I don't think announcing a UK show is important, really.
Yeah, okay, maybe not. But like we've seen with AEW announcements, the last few have fallen flat. Like the last one that was a really big announcement was the purchase of Ring of Honor. The last few announcements have fallen flat.
Not big.
They can't even subtly. They can't even announce it being Forbidden Door 2 because they've already announced it. They just subtly dropped it there, like another Forbidden Door show.
I don't want to assume it's going to be they've announced they've signed Jay White because I don't think that's going to be it.
I think they are, though. I still think they're getting. I've been saying it for the longest time because I have this huge group chat where everybody's like, Jay White would be good in WWE. Jay White would have been good in WWE. Jay White should go there. And it's just like, I feel like I've been the only one who keeps saying, Jay White's going to AEW. Jay White is going to go to AEW because he has all his friends there. He has all the opportunity to restart Bullet Club all he wants right there.
And he doesn't want to deal with Vince McMahon.
Yes, and that too.
Ian, do you think that Tony Khan should be worried about this merger? We were £1 billion company before, but now
no, I
the
don't.
budget's huge, an unbelievable budget they're going to have to bring in anybody there. Like they could bring in Conor McGregor if they want to. They could bring in anybody, and the money talks. And
no, I don't think he's going to be worrying. I don't think he's going to be worrying about WWE. I think he needs to focus on his own company at the moment. Because at the moment, Dynamite is not getting hasn't got a high rating in a while. I mean, like they were hyping Adam Cole's return, and that really didn't draw in. He shouldn't be worrying about WWE this week, especially after WrestleMania. He needs to really focus on doing his own thing, and WWE know AEW exists. I mean, they wouldn't be reaching out to people like Brian Cage, maybe offering him a deal to come to NXT. We're seeing that Andrade's contract with AEW is running out, and Triple H could make him a deal to try and come back because we know that Andrade wants to work with Charlotte being his wife and all that. So
How well does that go now with Vince being?
Yeah, that's the thing, because we were talking about that earlier on, especially with tonight's Dynamite featuring what could be FTR's last match.
That's the confusing part.
You think they win? Surely not. The Guns only just won him at Revolution last month.
If they win, they want to resign because they know with Vince back, Vince wasn't fond of them, so why work for someone that wasn't fond of us? We could be working with Triple H, but if we do leave, we don't go back to WWE. We just spend some time on the indies for a while, or they're probably set for life for money. We stay around and we just take time off.
See, before Vince came back, everybody wanted to come back to WWE. But FTR, who else has gone? Who else went to AEW?
Not everybody wanted to come back to. Not everyone wanted to come back with.
I'm just saying a few names: Saraya, FTR, Andrade, people like that. When they took over, they're probably like, "Why'd we come here?" And now Vince is back, and they're probably thinking, "Well, we'll stay here then."
Well, Saraya never said anything about coming back. She's just only started, and she's getting.
That's just a name I was using. I'm not going to go for the entire roster. I'm just using a name that's just recently signed.
I'm just pointing out that Saraya's only just gotten the Outsiders off the ground, so I don't think she was thinking, should I come back to WWE? That's
okay. Tony Storm, Big Show, Regal, whoever. I was just using random names. Regal's back in WWE, but Big Show, what have they done with him? He's probably thinking I could probably go back to WWE and have a couple more matches or retire. Maybe go in the Hall of Fame.
Oh dear.
But now,
That's another person actually me and Justin didn't point out. Regal could get to go. And we said, because we were thinking, man at the mask, I bid you farewell. Then a few weeks later, man at the mask, I am back.
I don't think Regal goes back to AEW. I think he stays with WWE. I think he doesn't go back there. What did he do with him?
Knowing that Vince did cut him, but Vince did cut him, remember, last year. And he was in a good position in AEW until he decided to come back to work with his son, but he can't appear on TV for a year.
Sucks.
I know.
But Nigel going there and being part of BCC is really interesting to me.
Oh, I love
you have him come out, confront the entire group, and go, I already know how tough you are. I already know how tough you are. I still want to know how tough you two are. Like to Moxley and to Wheeler, like
yeah.
That's
I mean, he was always a great talker. Like he was a great commentator. Like he was always great.
Do we ever see
the whole idea of everybody saying that Don Callis is going to join BCC thing is just
that was it. Yeah, because there was always thought that he was setting his own little thing just to get Kenny back on his own and split him away from the elite.
Do we ever see Vince McMahon back on TV in some sort of capacity? Not necessarily wrestling.
No.
Jesus Christ, don't we? So just in that last year's Mania when he got stabbed. But it is in some capacity, be it just there, be it he opens up a show. Do you ever see him being back on TV again?
No, I'm sorry, no, but I hope not, because I mean, when he came out those SmackDown and Raws during the allegations, it got a lot of people worked up about it, like especially a lot of these people who were possibly victims of this.
It's true though. How do you clearly just let the man who clearly has all these allegations strapped to him right now just walk out on TV and act like nothing happened?
It's like that'd be like
horrible, horrendous.
That'd be like letting Harvey Weinstein present an award at the Academy Awards.
Horrible, horrendous what he did to these victims. If all true, some could very well be made up. He's a billionaire, maybe just wants his money. But if let's say they're all true, horrendous, but his balls are like huge to come out on TV while the investigation is going on.
Okay, yeah, he's got that ballsy attitude. I'll give him that. He has a ballsy attitude. He does have that.
That's why he's the genetic jackhammer.
The genetic jackhammer.
And Ian kind of just Ian brought it up earlier. WrestleMania, apparently the biggest ever. I don't know if you watched the press conference, but Triple H was saying about all the social stuff, and 161,000 fans in attendance, just huge. What were your thoughts about it?
We were talking about it actually. We were talking about that earlier on. We did talk about it, and that's
why I think Tony Khan needs to not worry about this.
I mean,
Tony Khan right now, everybody's focus was WWE this whole weekend. That was the big weekend. Now it's time for him to focus on his company and get the eyes on them for something.
Because he's nearly coming up to his season anniversary. Because it's nearly been 4 years since the formation of the beginning of the formation of AEW. So, like, this is his new Double or Nothing is the start of his new season.
You think WrestleMania 40 next year is going to be as big as this year, or not?
It depends who's at it, really. I mean, how it's all done. It depends, like, because you have a year now to plan it. You have a year, and you have plenty of time to plan. First, you've got the location now. Now, all you have to do is start building the stories. But you don't build them too long. You just let other stories play out, and then you start building around December after Survivor Series.
And what led you? The Stone Cold said he's never going to wrestle. I thought he would have been at this year's Mania. I thought LA now would come out and done something, and Austin would have done something as well. The Rock is a maybe. Cena, I think he's probably done. He's looking old. So what legends is left, and what legends will be brought in if they can get them?
There doesn't need to be legends. I mean, okay, with John Cena, Becky, and Trish, with John Cena, Trish, and Lita, it was a different story because there was still talent that need to get over. With Trish and Lita, they were only brought in because other women that were brought back under Triple H weren't getting over. So they needed somebody to work with. with this WrestleMania, Triple H, he wanted to depend more on the current roster of today. You can't keep calling in legends because the older wrestlers can't do it forever because they're
correct. Look at Cena, but if you have the next year's Mania with just a current roster, how is that special? He's meant to be WrestleMania. You've seen these matches you've never seen before, and they want a big name.
This is why NXT people get called up. This is why you bring people in. This is why you bring people back. Like,
I mean, you start building people and you start trying to get more talent, and you start to look back at other WrestleMania, like the Attitude Era. Did they depend on older talent from the Golden Era or New Generation? No, because the talent back then was able to get over. That's what Triple H is trying to do with the current roster as well, to give them their starring moment, just like what we saw with people like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and the Usos, just like what we saw with Cody as well, and just like what we saw with Rhea Ripley. Just like what we saw with Gunther.
I still think people like
become the legends of today, so that the next
generation. I still think people like Cena's the biggest star there is, bigger than Reigns, bigger than Lesnar, bigger than anyone in the company.
Now Cena passed the torch.
Now Cena passes the torch. He passed the torch to Theory, just like he passed the torch to AJ Styles in 2016. I mean, it was also the same all those times with Roman when he faced Triple H and The Undertaker in the main event. That was a passing of the torch to them.
It's like AJ, when he ends up retiring, he's going to pass the torch to somebody.
I mean, it's going to be like we could also someday see the same with the women's division with Trish. Like, we've kind of already seen it with Trish and Lita passing the torch to people like your Becky's, your Charlotte, your Bianca Belairs. And then at some point, there's going to be someone to pass the torch to someone like Roxanne Perez.
Right.
But if legends are brought in for next year's Mania, who do you think they should be?
It's really a good... it really depends. Like, all you could really depend on is John Cena, because you're not going to get another Undertaker again. You're not going to get... Austin doesn't want to do it.
Again.
Yes, Brock or Cena, I mean... Depending how much Cena's star shines, because Cena opened the match, because after that, he's got to promote Fast 10, he's got to work on Season 2 of Peacemaker, and he has a part in the new Barbie movie, would you believe?
Are you going to be... Really?
Brock Lesnar is probably the only person I could say at this point.
Brock Lesnar is most likely... With Brock Lesnar, the two people I'd like to see him work with are Gunther and Braun Breaker, after he works with Cody.
My phone, I'm just putting a charger in my phone, that's all.
It has to be, those would be the last two people I'd like to see Brock work with, Gunther and Braun Breaker.
I mean, there's only two, the only correct decision out of that is if he works with those two, the other two have to go over. Like, Gunther has to go over Brock, and Braun Breaker, that would be massive for him. You put him over Brock.
How do you work Braun Breaker in now? Because Brock is a heel at the moment, Braun Breaker is now heel over on NXT.
I didn't get that either. Why would you turn Braun heel or whatever? I don't know.
I think it's because I think what's going on. Well, like with Braun Breaker, the first thing was people were starting to turn on him like the way they turned on Cena, and Carmelo Hayes just got really over the years because he is really good. I think another thing that's setting Braun back is the recent allegations against his dad for having to go with a trans person at WrestleCon.
So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think because of the fact that they were already booing him, why not turn him heel? Now instead of him having to listen to that crowd boo him, now he gets to feed off that crowd booing him.
I think he could be a heel. Like he could be a heel in the vein of Roman at some point.
I don't know how good Rick was as a heel, but I know Scott's a fantastic heel. So
he's got the mathematics to be a heel. He's got the mathematics to be a heel.
You've got a 33-point chance of him being a heel.
He's got to cut his own mathematical promo and the entire time, and there we go. We're set.
Yes.
You've got a 33.2.333 chance of him cutting that promo.
Show up and be like, Carmelo Hayes, I'm telling you right now, you've got a 0% chance of beating me. God, I can't help it. Every time I hear Braun Breaker talk, he sounds like Scott Steiner. Oh my God.
Like uncle, like nephew.
So, the final question here, what do you think the future holds with Vince in charge? Do you think WWE's going to get worse? You saw what happened on Raw, or do you hope it stays the same as it did with Triple H?
Vince stays around, we might be in trouble.
If Vince stays
If
around, we might be in
this-
trouble.
If they somehow see that Vince is not capable of doing what he needs to do, and actually think about, hey, we got some pretty bad stuff on Vince right now. We don't want that around here, especially during this big moment where we're taking these two entities and turning it into one thing like that. You're going to want him out of there. And if they get rid of Vince, they're off to the races. This deal is going to be astronomical for Vince.
I agree. They need to see what Vince is like backstage. Like, they need to, Raw got a good rating this week. The stock has gone up. This merger is good, but let's see what's the problem. Fans are not happy. The talent is in a low state. Some of them could decide to leave. This could be affected. This could affect our deal. We need to say, we need to listen to these people. We need to address these concerns, and we need to see what makes these people happy. Because with every employment, you have to see that the employers are happy and that they don't cause a strike, because that affects your product. You have a problem then, and you need to fix it before this problem comes back and really bites us in the ass.
Yeah, so if you have people walk out, it could cause a huge mess.
You could have people walk out. You have people that Triple H wants to make stars. If I lose them again, they're not going to come back again. They're going to go to other places and they're going to say, hell no, we don't want to be near you. We're happy doing this or that in this other company.
The scary thing to also think of is, what if Vince is trying to get rid of Triple H too? That would be scary.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is revenge. Because Triple H
knows Triple H looks better than him, so he's trying to get rid of him. Like, that would be scary.
I have to get rid of the competition, damn it!
That's just utterly ridiculous. He loves power, he loves control, and he doesn't know anything else, and that's been his life. But WWE has been better without him, and surely he can see that and just...
Yeah, we want WWE to last longer, but we're not going to last long if the old king is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
right then, so I'm going to just finish up here. We'll continue to chat backstage if you want, but don't want to be here all night, so I'm just going to finish up. So thank you for both joining me.
You're welcome. It's been good fun.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you, and sorry for stepping away for about 5-10 minutes or whatever it was. I'm going to very, very quickly just play this. So yeah, and me, follow me, all of that. My socials are right there. Once again, very quickly promotion, PMP, Pancakes and Power Sams is the place to check out. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Sportskeeda as well, go and check them out. DOMCAST and In Time Wrestling Podcast, Justin211, go and follow him. For eFeds, TWF Network, ASPW Network, and Radar Extreme Wrestling, Red Billy Radar F8, and for a promo-based eFed, Promo Performance Alliance. Do like and subscribe. My next videos will be next week. My Journey 2 and UBW review. So my Journey 2 and UBW Read Rampage review all next week. But do like and subscribe, and it is the Golden One himself, Ricky Goldman, out.